بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You may have heard that during the prayer time, when there was so much noise happening and occurring, that there was almost the only silence that we've seen this day. And the Sahaba used to say to themselves, let us go and relax and take care in our prayer. And it reminded me of a time when I was held by the Americans and first taken into custody. And people ask me this question all the time, Brother Moazzam, did the Americans ever let you pray? And I say to them, brothers and sisters, that there was a time when the Americans took me onto an airplane with the screams of the other prisoners and the roar of the engines and the shouts of the American soldiers screaming and cursing at us, with our hands tied behind our backs and our legs shackled like animals on an airplane, and then with a hood over your head. And at this point, one of the brothers who was next to me, a Libyan, said, Ya akhi, dakhala waqt as-salah, that the time for prayer has come, brother. Shall we pray? And at that point, I prayed my first prayer ever in American custody. So that when brothers and sisters ever ask me, did the Americans ever let you pray? I say, there is no circumstance in which they could have ever stopped me from praying. And I come this day to tell you, brothers and sisters, that one of the most powerful surahs in the Quran, the most resonant surahs in the Quran that we used to recite and memorize and read from and think about and contemplate, was the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. How he was imprisoned, first of all in a well by his brothers, and then secondly, how he was imprisoned for a crime that he did not commit. And I tell brothers and sisters and people from the Muslim and non-Muslim worlds that had it not been for this story of incarceration without charge or trial, this false imprisonment, neither would the Quran nor the Torah or the Injil be complete. So it is a very essence of our faith and our belief that we recognize that people who are incarcerated without charge or trial must be supported by our community and the wider people. And that is why I urge you all, brothers and sisters, to go and visit the stalls of Cageprisoners on G22 and Hugs, the organization that campaigns for and helps the people and the families of the people detained in this country without charge and without trial. I urge you to spend of that which Allah has given you and support these organizations, because the Muslims are facing a terrible time, particularly in relation to anti-terror legislation and its effects, which includes incarceration, torture, house arrest, extraordinary rendition. And if you don't know the case of Dr. Afia Siddiqui, this woman, Muslim prisoner, who was captured from Pakistan, taken to the Bagram detention facility and tortured for 5 years, make sure you're aware of this case. One of her children, it is said, died in custody. It is said that she was raped and tortured. Who stands for her today, brothers and sisters? Who stands for her today? After my retirement from Guantanamo Bay, I made a promise to Allah and to everybody that I will stand for people like Afia Siddiqui and all of the brothers and sisters held in Guantanamo and held around the world without charge and without trial. Earlier this year, there's a film that was produced and it won the Oscar for Best Documentary. And that's because I'm in it. It's called Taxi to the Dark Side. It didn't win the Oscar because I'm in it, but it did win the Oscar for Best Documentary. And that is because it documents the deaths of one of the prisoners I witnessed with my own eyes in the Bagram detention facility. It's available at the Cageprisoners store. Please go and see it. It happened that one of the men I saw was beaten terribly, kicked in his legs so many times that it seemed, according to the autopsy report, that he had had a tractor run over his legs, and that had he survived, they would have required to amputate his legs. The film is about this man's death and what I witnessed of it. And one of the things that took place is that they kicked him in his legs, because every time they kicked him in his legs, he said one word twice. He said, Allah, Allah. And he continued to say these words until Allah took him from this world and he existed in it no more. Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters, for listening to me. And please come and visit the stalls, G21, G22, Cageprisoners and Hugs. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your good deeds. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
And verily the Lord will give you so that you shall be well pleased.